We started into the heights, which rose in ridges like a washboard. At the top of the second hump, all hell broke loose. 3 or 4 men below me on the forward slope had been hit.
There was a big open field with no trees or cover. Men from the lead squads were lying out there under heavy sniper fire, already dead or wounded. The captain ordered a platoon around the left flank to knock out the machine gun in the farmhouse. The lieutenant was supposed to cover us, but he changed the orders and led the attack himself.
We tried to advance. I remember my radio man, Corporal Sims, being hit. I remember dragging him back into a foxhole. Then I remember trying to move up a little bit, and then I felt a sting in my shoulder. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't move my arms, my legs.
I crawled out and started dragging men back. The lieutenant was farthest away. He lay there with his arms stretched out over his head. When I pulled it, he gave a yell and passed out. He was so much bigger than me, but I managed to drag him and roll him back. He was bleeding badly, but we had no choice. We gave him a shot of morphine and moved on.
9 hours later, Lieutenant Dole was removed to a battlefield hospital. A shell had smashed his right shoulder, punctured a lung, and damaged vertebrae, leaving him paralyzed from the neck down. The surgeons thought he was going to die. When he didn't, he was put in a cast from his chin to his legs and shipped home. His mother moved in across the street to take care of him. She had to feed him with a spoon and hold cigarettes to his lips, seemingly the only pleasure left to him. As he regained movement in his limbs, the cast was slowly chipped away. Then, at the end of June, he developed an uncontrollable fever. Police sirens escorted his father all the way from Russell when his son wasn't expected to last the night. Penicillin finally lowered his temperature enough to remove an infected kidney. Dole started his recovery all over again. By fall, the cast was gone, and he was sitting on the edge of the bed, trying to calm the tremors enough to take a few steps.
They got me out of bed one day, and the bathroom door was open. There was a mirror on the far wall of the shaving cabinet. I couldn't believe that was Bob Dole. So I didn't look in the mirror. I still don't look in the mirror.
Only his right arm was in traction now, and the doctors allowed him to go back to Russell on a stretcher. His parents rented a hospital bed and put him in their own front bedroom. His mother waited on him hand and foot, afraid they had only brought him home to die. Embarrassed to be seen by all but his closest friends, Dole was determined to recover the body he had lost. The biggest, strongest kid from Russell High now weighed 122 pounds. By Thanksgiving, Dole had moved to a special Army hospital that performed modern miracles in orthopedics. Before Christmas, however, a blood clot developed in his lungs. Confined to bed round the clock, he grew steadily weaker. His only hope was an experimental drug called streptomycin. At the beginning of March, his family traveled to be with him and sign a release for its use. 4 days later, he sat up and asked his brother to go downtown and get a milkshake. By summer, he was back in Russell. Impatient with hospital therapy, he thought he could do better on his own. His father installed a system of pulleys and weights on the garage. One day, Dole screwed up his courage and walked all the way to Dawson Drug. At night, he played a popular song over and over on his old KU record player. It became an anthem for his quest to get back on his feet. Despite his efforts, his right arm hung crippled and useless. There remained loss of feeling in his weakened left arm, and both legs were shaking most of the time. Dole visited a former Army surgeon in Chicago who pioneered in the restoration of damaged limbs. Dr. Hamper Kalikian took no money for his services, and the townspeople of Russell started the Bob Dole Fund and a store counter cigar box. Eventually, they raised $1,800 to pay Dole's hospital expenses. Dr. K could ease the pain in his patient's arm and shoulder, but he made it clear there would be no miracle. Physically, Dole would never again be the person he was before the war.
One day you get up and you say, okay, let's get out of here. Let's start thinking about the future instead of the past, and maybe Bob Dole can do something else.
True to his word, Dole willed himself to recovery and more. He agreed to be best man at his sister Norma Jean's wedding. Before family and friends assembled at Trinity Methodist Church, he stood like a soldier. He had beaten fearful odds. He would always be a fighter.